Asterisk, the wind moved like an old song across the desert plain, slow and aching, like it remembered something the world forgot. Asterisk, he hadn't planned on stopping, not in this nowhere town. Just a flicker on the map, swallowed by heat and dust. But the truck's radiator hissed like a dying animal, and the gas station, crooked sign and all, stood like the last outpost before silence. So he parked, killed the engine. Listened to it tick in the hush. Asterisk, he hadn't slept much the night before. Or the one before that. Sleep was always a thin, splintered thing for him, breaking apart before it ever held him. The desert didn't. Helped, too open, too honest, nothing here to lie to him. Not like he used to lie to himself. Asterisk, he stepped out, boots crunching gravel. One hand went to the old burn scar beneath his shirt, a habit, not a pain. Just something his fingers knew to reach for, like a rosary, like regret. Asterisk, he wasn't from here. That much was clear from the way he walked, like he was always leaving somewhere. The man had shoulders that carried too many winters, eyes that avoided children, mirrors, and anything that smiled too easily. Asterisk, there were no children here, though. Just wind, dust, a rickety gas pump, and the soft hush of an afternoon that seemed to be waiting for something. Then he saw her, not at first. The desert plays tricks, and she was still as stone, sitting just off the road, framed by saguaros in silence. A little girl, maybe 10, maybe younger, Apache, long black hair unbrushed, falling like a curtain around her cheeks. Asterisk, and in her small hands, a sign, cardboard, faded, the words scratched in marker. But they stopped him cold. Asterisk, I know what he lost. Asterisk, he froze. The air felt thinner suddenly. As if the wind had paused to look too. Asterisk, she didn't speak. Just watched him, not with fear, not with hope. Just stillness. Like she was waiting to see what kind of man he really was beneath the silence and the scar. He looked away first, walked. Inside the gas station, bought water, a radiator hose. Didn't say a word to the clerk who didn't bother asking questions. Asterisk, but when he stepped back out, she was still there, unmoving, like a thorn in his memory. Asterisk, he sat in the truck and tried not to look. Tried not to let his hands shake. Tried not to think of the fire, the hospital, the names he never said aloud anymore. But he couldn't stop hearing the words on that sign. I know what he lost. Asterisk, that night, he stayed at the edge of town. Just a roadside motel, half lit and sagging. He checked in under a name that wasn't his. He always did. Asterisk, he didn't sleep. Just sat on the edge of the bed, fingers tracing that scar. As if he could touch the years he'd buried. As if the girl's sign had reached in and pulled something loose. Asterisk, he thought he heard a whisper outside the window once. A small voice. Or maybe it was the wind. Asterisk, either way. He didn't open the curtain. Morning came slow, like it didn't want to be here either. A pale sun climbed over the horizon, brushing gold across the gravel lot. The man sat in his truck again, same place, same silence, hands still smelling faintly of radiator fluid and motel soap, but the girl was gone, no sign, no whisper, just a patch of earth where she had sat. Her cardboard message left behind like a feather on the wind. Asterisk, he told himself it was good, that it meant nothing. Kids in desert towns always had stories, always needed help. Maybe she'd gone home. Maybe there never was a home. He drove, but 20 miles out he turned around. Asterisk, didn't mean to, didn't plan it. Just saw a hawk lift from a post, its wings catching the light in a way that twisted something inside him, and next thing he knew he was back on that old road. Gravel cracking under tires, desert watching with a quiet, endless patience. Asterisk, she wasn't at the spot. But someone had lit a small fire nearby, now long gone cold. Beside it, another sign. Asterisk, used to sing in your sleep. Asterisk, he stared at it. His hand trembled. The girl wasn't there, but her knowing was. Asterisk, no one alive knew that about him. Not anymore. Asterisk, not since the fire. Not since the boy's voice went silent and the father's eyes turned away in shame. Not since the court date where the judge asked if he was fit to raise a child, and he couldn't even answer. Asterisk, he sat down. Right there, in the dirt. Like his bones finally gave out under the weight of memory. Asterisk, he didn't cry. That was long gone, but the ache, it opened like a slow wound, and the desert held it like it always had, quietly, without judgment. Asterisk. Then the wind shifted. Asterisk, he heard soft footsteps behind him. Not afraid, not hiding, he turned. She stood there. That same little girl, dark eyes catching the morning sun. Dust on her feet, a threadbare shawl across her shoulders. Asterisk, no smile, no fear. Just presence. Like someone who belonged to the silence. Asterisk, he didn't speak. Didn't know how. Asterisk, she stepped closer and placed something in his hand. Asterisk, a worn feather, red-tipped, sacred to her people. Her fingers brushed his knuckles, warm, steady. Asterisk, then finally she spoke. Her voice was low. Not a whisper. Not a question. Just a truth. Asterisk, your son never blamed you. Asterisk, the man blinked. As if those words struck a place so deep even memory had forgotten it. Asterisk, his jaw worked. But nothing came out. Asterisk, she sat beside him, cross-legged. As if they'd known each other in another life, in another fire, under another sky. The feather stayed in his palm. They didn't speak again for a long while. Just sat in the sun, letting silence say what words could not. Asterisk, and when she stood to leave, she left behind one more sign, tucked under a rock near his boot. Asterisk, you're still a father. Even now? Asterisk, he didn't follow? Not yet, asterisk, but that night. He didn't sleep in the motel. He built a fire near where she had sat, and for the first time in years, he sang, low and broken, to no one, and maybe to someone. Asterisk, the stars listened. So did the wind. Asterisk. The next morning, his fire was just embers. But the song had not left him. Asterisk, it clung to his throat like smoke. Not a melody, but a memory. One his son used to hum while building towers out of cereal boxes on the kitchen floor. One his wife would echo when folding laundry with her back to him, never knowing that her voice softened his shame more than any apology could. Asterisk, he hadn't heard that sound in years. Hadn't dared, until the girl brought it back with nothing more than a feather and a few broken words. Asterisk, he rose stiffly, joints cracking like old wood. Packed the truck, but not in a hurry this time. Left the motel key on the counter without a name. He didn't expect to see her again, but she was there. Asterisk, this time, waiting by a small, rusted chapel on the edge of the desert. Cross barely standing, one door swinging open in the breeze. Her small figure sat beneath it, carving something into the dirt with a stick. Asterisk, he parked. Got out. No words exchanged. Just a nod, is this time, and a long breath. Asterisk, she looked up and held out a folded scrap of paper. Not a sign this time. Letter. Asterisk, the paper was soft with wear, a child's handwriting. Uneven, full of effort. Asterisk, he took it. His hands were calloused and slow. The letter read, Dad, it's okay if you're scared. It's okay if you don't come back yet. I still talk to you when it rains. Love. Danny, his knees gave out before he meant them to. Asterisk, he sat on the chapel step, the paper trembling in his hand, the world narrowing to the edges of those few lines. Danny, no one said that name anymore, not even in his head. The last time he saw it was on a report from the social worker. Daniel Ray Carter, fostered, safe. Asterisk, he hadn't gone to court. Couldn't face the photographs. Couldn't face what was left of the boy's bedroom, melted plastic dinosaurs, a half-scorched pillow. Asterisk, he'd walked away. A coward's walk. Never told anyone why. Asterisk, but this girl. She was holding ghosts like they were family. Asterisk, how do you know him? His voice was rough, foreign in his mouth. Asterisk, she didn't answer with words. Just held up a small, carved piece of wood. A flute, Apache style. Simple, bare. Asterisk, he gave me this, she said softly. In the shelter. He played for the younger ones when the thunder came. He swallowed, hard, his eyes fixed on the flute. He still plays? Asterisk, she nodded, but only when no one's watching. Asterisk, the man bent his head. The desert blurred. Asterisk reached out, touched his shoulder with her small hand. Then she whispered, He called you the bravest man he knew. Even though you ran? The breath left his body like a confession. She set the flute beside him. You can give it back someday, asterisk, then she walked away. Not far. Just enough to let him sit with it. He didn't move for hours, but when dusk arrived, he lit another fire, small, careful, like the ones he used to make on camping trips, asterisk, and this time he didn't sing. He played one note. Then another, cracked, bare. But his son's melody was in there, asterisk, somewhere. The days moved slower now. Asterisk, he stayed near the chapel, the broken cross leaning like an old man keeping watch. There was no plan, no destination, just the desert, the girl, and something in his chest that didn't ache as much anymore. Asterisk, he saw her each day, never for long. Sometimes she brought feathers. Other times she sat beside him and braided strands of her own hair into little cords, weaving silence into something sacred. Asterisk, he didn't ask her name. And she didn't ask his asterisk, but when she handed him another letter, this one newer, less weathered, he opened it with hands that didn't shake this time. Asterisk, Dear Dad, I think you're coming back. I don't know how I know, but I do. Asterisk, the lady at the center said maybe it takes grown-ups longer to heal. That's okay. I'm waiting. Love, Danny. Asterisk, the man folded the letter and placed it in his shirt pocket near the scar. Near his heart? That night he went to town. Not far, just the diner where no one asked questions. He traded work for a meal, scrubbed pans until his fingers turned raw. It felt good, real, like penance that had weight. Asterisk, when he left, the waitress gave him a paper bag of extra bread. Said the little girl had come in earlier and said he might need it. She was always one step ahead. The next morning, he found her beneath the cottonwood tree near the dry creek bed. She was building something, small stones, feathers, bits of twine and bone, a ritual, a prayer. The kind passed from grandmother to granddaughter in quiet circles. He watched. She didn't look up, just pointed to the ground beside her. So he sat. They worked together, not speaking, placing stones in a spiral, tying the last of her braided cords around the roots of the tree. Asterisk, when they finished, she stood and took a folded piece of cloth from her pocket. Inside it, a photograph. Faded, soft from years of hiding. Asterisk, a boy, maybe 7. Missing front teeth, gap-toothed smile wide enough to crack the heart. Asterisk, the man's breath caught. His fingers hovered. Asterisk, the girl placed it in his hand. He gave it to me, she said it was his favorite. He couldn't speak. Then, quietly, he did. Where is he? Asterisk, she didn't answer right away. Just turned to the east, toward the sun climbing slow over the hills. Asterisk, there's a place in Window Rock, she said. For kids like us, he's still there sometimes, helping now. Asterisk, the man nodded. Not a decision? A beginning. Asterisk, he stood, knees stiff, soul heavier in the best way. He held the photograph like a map, folded it with care, and placed it in the same pocket as the letter. He turned to her, and for the first time asked, What's your name? Asterisk, she smiled then, just a little, a crack of light in all the dust. Asterisk, Amita. Asterisk, it meant truth. Asterisk, he didn't tell her his name. She already knew it. That evening he wrote a letter of his own. Danny, I don't know if I deserve to see you, but I'm going to try. Asterisk. I've been lost a long time. Asterisk, a girl with quiet eyes showed me the way back. If you're ready, I'll be there. Love. Asterisk, Dad. He handed it to Amita. She held it close and whispered something he never quite caught. Asterisk. But it felt like a blessing. Asterisk. The next day, the truck started on the first try. The wind pushed gently at his back, and as the desert faded in the mirror, the scar on his chest no longer felt like punishment. Asterisk, it felt like memory, and the place where something new was about to begin. Asterisk,